cake was too sweet for my liking. Sponge was fine, but, I've always found cream, sort of clagging. I shouldn't complain. They mean well. I bet the blood sugar's gone through the roof, though. No pudding for you today, Jim. You're sweet enough. Music was a bit loud, though. Wartime stuff, of course. Dear old Vera. Young lass from the local newspaper came. Nice enough, but with the sort of patronising tone that makes my toes curl. She said it might make the front page. Telly, even. So, as you can imagine, everyone gathers round, hoping to get their fizzogs in the picture. What's the point, I said. No one will recognise you in your face masks. They just smiled at me, in the way that people do when you're my age. I can't be the first to make a century round here. Oh, you're a war hero, she said, like Captain Tom, Sir Tom now. The word hero is bandied about very loosely today, but I concede that it's most appropriate applied to him. But I'm no hero. I said that, and I said, and I don't want everyone jumping on my bandwagon, thank you very much. You could have cut the silence with a knife. She just sat there, fingers hovering over her iPad, searching her memory bank for cliched questions from journalist school. Then it came. What's the secret, she chirps up, of a long and happy life? Lots of restful sleep, I say. She wrote that down. And you know what's the secret to restful sleep? Oh, she looks up, eyebrows raised, smiling with anticipation. Learning to forgive oneself, I say. Furrowed brows all around at that one. I thought I'd better break the tension. I was a teacher for 50 years. Put a lot of young people on the right path. Oh, that's interesting, she says. Which means, of course, that she wasn't at all interested. Baffles me how war stories sell so well these days. I mean, how has a time of death and destruction become our golden age? The only people nostalgic for the war are those who never lived through it, or those who wear rose-tinted spectacles of denial. I catch the eye of Doreen's grandson. Asked him to leave the door ajar in case he passed by. Just started here as a carer. Word is that it's part of his community service. Now Doreen's a lovely woman, heart of gold, volunteer visitor. She should be on the front page. Anyway, I want him to run this errand for me, so I wave my arm and call him over. Here a minute. He looks puzzled. Who, me? Just a quick word. He looks right awkward and wishes me happy birthday. He says, what can I do for you, Grandad? I reserve that term of endearment for my actual grandchildren, if you don't mind. Oh, he looks even more puzzled. Mr. Farmer or Jim will do. Now close the door. I've something to ask. He stands there, frozen to the spot. Betty thought, not another arse to wipe. Close the door, I repeat. I won't bite. He closes the door, but hangs on to the handle, face as white as a sheet. I smile and lean in. I understand you buy and sell substances. Not with you, he mutters. Come on, I say. No need to be coy. He shoves the handle down. Oh, better be going, he says in a panic, and was about to escape when I shout, no, listen. Now that stops him. He turns towards me. So I lean in a bit more, all conspiratorial like, and say in a low voice, "I think we understand each other." On reflection, touching the side of my nose with my index finger was a bit too dramatic. But hey, I was winging it. "I need you to supply me with some stuff," I say. "Stuff?" he says, looking very shifty by now. I think you've got a bit confused, Mr. Farmer." He corrects himself. "Easiest money you'll ever make," I say. "Oh, for goodness sake. Everyone knows you've been inside, and what for." "I've done my time," he says. "But past is past." "I'm not accusing you," I say. "It's just that, well, I heard you smuggled stuff inside prison. Bringing some in here should be a doddle. Like I say, easiest money you'll ever make." You can tell by now he's gaining interest. He lets go of the handle and moves towards me and crouches down. He's right close to my ear. Now it's his turn to be conspiratorial. "Okay, let's just say, for the sake of argument, that I do know how to get hold of whatever you're talking about. How do I know this isn't a setup?" Well, I almost burst a laugh. "Setup?" And then he makes to frisk me. "Are you wired?" he says, with no hint of humour. "I wouldn't rummage around down there," I say. "Not unless you've got a strong stomach." Well, that makes him back off. Now his true colours are out. "Okay," he says cockily. "What are we talking about? Just for the sake of argument. I'm not saying I do that sort of thing anymore." "Relax," I say. "You'd be doing an old chap a great favour." I hand him a small folded note. "Here, it's all written down for you." I'd looked it up on my iPad thingy. Great-granddaughter got it for me, so we could see each other during the lockdown. Not that she came much before, anyway. My family are no strangers to social distancing. Anyway, he reads the note and hands it straight back. "Never heard of that," he says. "I thought I knew all the gear." "How high does it get you?" "It's not high I'm after," I say. "Oh, I only deal in high," he says, looking confused again. I lean in again and say, "Quite the opposite, in fact." I winked at this point. Not sure why, it seemed to make him even more confused. He just stands there, shoulders shrugging. "Eh, you mean low?" "Oh, you've lost me." "End," I say significantly. "I'm after an end." I stared, willing him to take my meaning. Slowly his expression changed to a glimmer of realization. He snaps to. "You mean—" "Oh, no, you're crazy," he garbles. "I thought this coronavirus would do the job," I said. "Just my luck to end up in a home that has outstanding hygiene." "No way," he says, reaching for the door handle. $2,000 a milliliter," I shouted, bit louder than I meant to. "I need 5 milliliters. I'll pay you 4 times face value. Do the math." I learned that phrase from the internet as well. He freezes, facing the door. I can see I've got his attention, and he still needs convincing. I can't," he says in panic. "All right, 5 times. Okay, 10 times. Money's no meaning for me anymore." Now, I don't know where that came from exactly, but I suppose it's true. He faces me and says, "This is not what I do." "Don't give me that," I say. "You mean to tell me that none of your, what do you call them, clients, none of your clients have ever cashed in their chips after taking your gear?" I supply, he says confidently, with an air of moral high ground. What happens after that is none of my business. I remember smiling at this stage. Really? Well then, just treat me like one of your clients. Easiest big money you'll ever make. Now this seems to do the trick. He walks over, takes the note, folds it once more, and puts it in his inside pocket. At this point, Doreen comes in. She never knocks, and hardly any do. Oh, there you are, Sammy, love, she says. Been looking for you everywhere. Having a nice little chat with our birthday boy? I said, he's been keeping me company. Cheered me up no end. Then, looking straight into Sammy's eyes, I say, we've a lot in common. This delighted Doreen. Oh, you are a good lad, Sammy, she beamed, planting a kiss on his cheek. And how are you, Jim, after all the excitement? Can't complain, Dora, I said. They do a nice spread. She crouches beside me, takes my arm and says, shame your family couldn't make it. I mean, 100. Just a number, I reply in pretend nonchalance. Well, you must be tired, she says, rising back to Sammy's side. We'll leave you to have 40 winks. Then, turning to Sammy, she says, perhaps you could visit Mr. Farmer another time. I'm sure he'd love that. What do you think, Jim? Can't wait, I reply, looking at Sammy knowingly. It's been over a week now till I see young Sammy again. I'm reading my daily when there's a gentle knock on my door, which is unusual. Come, I call, with mild curiosity. It's Sammy, looking quite pensive, I suppose. Thought you'd never come, I say. He just stands there, empty-handed. Well, have you got? Before I can continue, he bursts out, No! He wouldn't look me in the face, just keeps his eyes on the ground. The only thing's kept me going this past week, I say. You've let me down. He says, well, I looked and found it like you said. It does the trick. And, I ask. And he looks up. Could have sworn his eyes were moist. Took him a while to gather himself and muster the words. Gran tells me you're a war hero. He's back to muttering again. What's that got to do with the price of fish, I ask. Loads of medals, but you don't wear them, he mumbles. Too modest, Gran says. She says you were her teacher at St. Joseph's High. Enough love for everyone. That's what Gran said. I can't say I wasn't moved by these remarks. I pat the chair beside me, and he sits looking at his shoes. Selling drugs, pulling triggers. Not so easy when you can see the whites of their eyes, I said. I've always taken silence as an appropriate response, probably the closest we ever get to the sound of learning. At this, Doreen bursts in, accompanied by her usual chaotic energy. Oh, be a love and fetch the case from the car, she asked Sammy. Didn't have to ask him twice. I think he was glad to escape. Doreen takes Sammy's place, gives me a kiss and a hug, all against the hygiene protocol, of course. He is a good lad, really, she says. Just got on the wrong path. But he does worry me so. I turned to face her. I smiled and said, I don't think we'll be having any more trouble with our Sammy. Doreen looked puzzled.